Hello, Uyi. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Good to have you on at last.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We've been trying to have this podcast for a very long time.
Yeah.
Finally, we made it.
Yeah, I finally got the time.
Yeah. So, how is your semester?
It's going. It's a Williams College semester,
I know.
The work is picking up, but it's my last one, so I'm trying to enjoy every teeny bit of it.
Yeah, you're a senior, right?
Yep.
You have one semester left.
One semester.
How does that feel?
I feel it's definitely a mixture of emotions. Some nervousness there, some happiness there, some anxiety here and there, and then some joy every fleeting moment.
Yeah, those here. It'll finally be over.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like part of me is ready to go.
Yeah.
I feel like Williams has been a phenomenal place for me, and it's helped me grow in ways I could never have expected me to. And I've met some amazing people here who have honestly changed my life, but at the same time, I feel like it's done its job, and for me to continue growing, I have to leave. So.
Okay, yeah, of course, that's true. So, Uyi, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you live, and something small you'd like my audience to know about you.
Yeah, so, I guess I can tell them my full name. Uyi is what people call me. It's my nickname. My actual full name is Uyi Osayimwen. I'm from Nigeria. I was born here in Boston, but both my parents were born there and immigrated here about, a little over 20 years ago. So I'm from Methuen, Massachusetts. Econ and English major here at Williams. I'm a senior, as you said, played football, involved in a bunch of other student groups, Society of the Griffins, I run that, involved in GCBC, which is our Student Athletes of Color organization here as well, housing coordinator at a Gargoyle Society.
You have so much stuff.
There's other things, yeah.
Wow.
I've done a lot here.
How are you able to manage that? It's Williams is hard. I feel like I don't do anything. I just record videos and go to class, and I feel like Williams is hard. And you're also doing so much other stuff. How are you able to do that?
I actually don't know. I've done a lot of stuff for a while, I guess, here, so it's kind of my new normal.
Yeah.
It's definitely not easy. It's definitely really challenging, and there are some days that are a lot harder than others. I think it's one of my coaches has this saying that I think really helped me, and he was like, be where your feet are. So while there is a lot of things to do, it's while I'm doing something, I'm 100% there, not worrying about something else. So, sometimes that means 4 to 5 hours of sleep at night, and other times they get 8, but sometimes the sacrifice feels worth it, and I don't regret it.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity.
That is cool. That's cool. I'm interested in hearing more about you and how you got started with Society of the Griffins as a freshman, because I had a podcast with Miamiche 2 weeks ago. He was talking about it, and I feel like it must be really nice, to get that initiative to start something like that. How did you get started with that?
Yeah, it's a funny story. If you told me I was going to start a student group my first year at Williams when I came, I would have thought you were crazy, because that wasn't something I would have thought I would have done, but here we are.
Yeah.
I guess my freshman year, I became really good friends with some of the other black men in my grade, namely John, Josh, Will, Keel, Tyler. Some of those were some of my closest friends, and still some of my closest friends to this day. And we would do work together like every other Williams College friend group does.
Yeah.
And some of those conversations extended beyond the economics problem sets and the Chinese homework to how we felt on the campus. And when those conversations happened, I guess there were a lot of common themes that we pulled continuously over the course of many conversations of how it felt to exist as a black man on this campus. And I guess what we could do to change it. I think that's what really helped us start the Griffins. It was we weren't just sitting around a table having conversations about how much it sucked or how much we felt uncomfortable. I think along the way of those conversations, it was what can we do to change it? I still remember sitting in a room with Josh, and Josh drafting an email to the school, to some people at OIDI, and that's where the ball started rolling. And we had meetings with them about what we could do. It led to the establishment of the Society of the Griffins. We actually did a Black Town Hall here. April of my freshman year had over 100 people there, senior staff, alumni. The NAACP actually came as well. So it was really good just to get some awareness of some of the issues that the Black community was facing here. And then after that, we really focused on establishing a community for Black men. And I guess that's where we are today.
Yeah.
So it's been a great journey.
Wow. Yeah. No, when I got here and I received your email, I was like, wow, this sounds like a very nice organization, you know? It was really nice to read that email. Yeah. That was amazing. So tell me, what would you say are like the biggest achievements of the organization so far?
I think first it's like just having an organization. I think thinking back to my 4 years, and it's funny because I remember me and my friend Matt Johnson having this conversation after an event we just did, a career panel. One of the main things we stressed was, please reach out to us if you have any questions. We're here for you. And after the event, we had this conversation saying, when we were freshmen, there was nothing like this, right? The Griffins weren't a thing. There was no Black male community. There wasn't really this theme of Black male solidarity, right? And for you to even just mention, when I got that email, it was a great feeling to know there was a space for us, for me, for you, for all the Black men. That was the first and foremost goal, for people to be aware that there was a space for them.
Yeah.
And I think that just speaks to the existence of the club and the existence of the organization being there as a major achievement, that someone can walk onto Williams campus and know there's a space for me.
Yeah.
In April, we'll take part in Black Previews, where we'll do our quote unquote Ball with the Griffins event. So people who, before they even made a decision to come to Williams, they'll know hey, this is a space that if you do choose to come and enroll at this college, this is a space for you.
Yeah.
And it's funny seeing it my sophomore year, the first time we actually did the Ball at the Griffins event for previews. My little brother's a sophomore and he came down to Williams to come check it out, and a few other kids.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to see those kids, the first Ball at the Griffins event we had, some of those kids have actually told me that influenced my decision to come.
Wow.
Seeing that event, seeing the space that was there, the community, it was a really nice thing. And one of the people who told me that's actually sitting on our board is a sophomore on our board right now. So it's a great thing to see the club even exist.
Yeah.
And then I guess the other thing, I feel there's so many other achievements that we've done, but I think one of the things I'm really proud of is our emphasis on service not only to Black men in the Black community, but the greater Berkshire region. One of the big things that we always emphasize is giving back, paying it forward, of recognizing as Williams College students, we're very blessed to, one, come to this institution, but the other hand of it is the institution does so much to help us, financially, and giving us access to things. And that's not to say the institution's perfect, but I recognize what they do to help us.
Yeah.
And we as Griffins members, and especially the board, but the greater Griffins community, recognize that we feel we have a responsibility to pay it forward. So recently we just did a Donate a Swipe fundraiser that's going to be going to the NAACP for Black History Month, and we reached the max limit of swipes we could get and raised $1,500 for that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then we also are doing a Society of the Griffins in the works right now. Society of the Griffins NAACP partnership to get something off the ground for a scholarship for high school Black males in the area, to kind of help them pursue that goal of a higher education and a university education that honestly has the potential to change people's lives.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really great stuff you guys have got going on. Yeah. How do you describe a day in your life as a Williams student?
Day in my life. I mean, I don't feel every day is the same, but definitely has elements that are. I'm definitely not an early riser. I probably get up, not gonna lie, around 10 to 11. My friends that really know me might say it's even a little bit later. Try to avoid morning classes, but I'll wake up, shower, get ready, do the daily brushing your teeth and all that good stuff. And typically head out. Probably go to class, depending on how many classes I have, like 1 or 2, and we'll try to get like some office hours mixed up in there for any like papers or problem sets that I have due. I'm a big advocate of using my resources here and building relationships with my professors in general. And then when I had football, it would probably be like squeeze in. I'd have a lift session as well, probably in the afternoon, and also film. So I would do, like, example, Monday would be wake up, get ready, and then I would also, like, go to class, then go to lift, then go to film, and then after film, go to practice. And then get dinner after that. I would usually take my lunch to go before practice and stuff, and then go do some homework, honestly, after dinner. Really cool, chill day. Probably hang out with some friends at Snar after my homework's done, and then do part 2 of my homework as well. But that's usually a day in the life here.
That's so packed.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised at how you're able to manage that with like playing football at a competitive level. It's just crazy, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
didn't you get banned out or something?
Luckily I haven't gotten there yet. Hopefully I last for a few more months. But I think it's like what I said earlier, be where your feet are, like be where your feet are. Football is a phenomenal game and I love it to death, and I don't think I'm the same person, like academically, athletically, and just like life-wise without it. The benefit about football is that it makes you very disciplined, and I had some phenomenal coaches here who had it very planned out and structured out, and they also understood that I had other interests as well, and that I was an academic. I came here for school first. So everything was like everything was very scheduled. So I understood what my schedule was going to be like before I even came to school. So I was able to plan my other activities around football, and then football is planned around school, so it all works.
Wow, that's so beautiful. You know?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, for me, I don't know like much about football, like the rules and how it works. I mean, I've watched football before, but I don't understand how it works, right? I know what a touchdown is. I don't know. That's all I know.
Okay, so I mean, that's half of it, honestly.
Could you tell me a bit more about the rules?
Yeah, so I guess like before the rules, you got to understand who's on the field.
Okay.
So there's 11 people on offense,
right,
and defense. So offense is trying to score, defense is trying to prevent them from scoring. The person who usually throws the ball is called the quarterback.
Okay.
Right. And there's 5 people in front of him. Usually, maybe there's 6 if there's a tight end involved, but keep it to 5. There's 5 people in front of them. We're usually pretty big. Not that they're fat, usually they have some muscle on them too, but they're called the offensive line, and they all have their different positions, and they work together to protect the quarterback from getting hit.
Okay.
And then you have somebody with the quarterback behind the offensive line called the running back, who will get the ball handed off to him, and he tries to run and before he gets tackled. And then you have people on the edges of the field called wide receivers or tight ends as well, who like run routes so the quarterback will throw it to them. And on the opposite side of that, you have the defense. So those 5 big guys described also have big guys in front of them at kind of my position, the defensive line, who try to go and make tackles of the running back and also the quarterback. So those people are there to, really stop like the first line of defense. And then behind them are the linebackers, who kind of do a mixture of everything. They help the defensive line, like they'll come and make tackles like a lot of the time, but they'll also drop into coverage as well, which is what the secondary does, or the DBs as some people call them. They defend against the pass attack. So they guard the receivers when they go down the field and stuff, and linebackers do that as well. But those are the positions. The goal of the offense is to score, so they'll either hand the ball off or they'll throw it. And then the defense doesn't know what the offense is going to do, but based on how the offense like lines up and film study and things, like there's different indicators and different tells. So you'll have different defenses. So basic defense that you could run is like zone. So zone is the opposite of man-to-man, where everyone has different sections of the field they're responsible for. But man defense, like man-to-man, is where the DBs and linebackers have a specific person that they're staying with the entire time. So the defense is usually trying to get off the field as fast as possible. You don't want your defense to be on the field for that long. And the offense usually wants to stay on the field for a longer time and score the ball. There's 4 downs. So usually the first 3 downs is where the offense really tries to move the ball 10 yards. So you have 4 downs to move the ball 10 yards. Usually on that 4th down, the last one, if you're not within field goal range, which is where you kick the ball through like the yellow uprights, you'll punt it, so you'll kick it away to the other team. So that's why you'll see a lot of people being like on a 3rd down. It's a very important down because either they're usually going to give the ball away, or they're going to advance and keep playing. So
wow,
that's a quick summary.
Yeah, that's a really long summary.
Yeah,
I've already forgotten a lot of the stuff.
No, I know. I feel bad. I was just like, I can't explain the rules that explaining the people
that's true.
on the field.
But that's a really good like summary of it. Yeah. Wow, that's cool. So, do you have to be big to play like any position, or there's some positions that if you're not that big, you can still play?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I don't like. So the big guys, like the people who are on the offensive and defensive line, you definitely have to be big.
You have to be big,
like whatever your definition of big is, bigger. Honestly, my coach made me like gain like 20 pounds when I already thought I was big enough. But it was for the love of the game, and Coach Wood is one of my favorite coaches I've ever had. So it was definitely worth doing. It helped me as a player. So the offensive defensive line, not to say you have to be big.
You have to be big.
But like a receiver, like you don't have to be as big.
Why did they tackle you in?
I mean, like, honestly, like football is more about you being stronger than bigger.
Okay.
So like it benefits everybody on the field to be strong. Like everybody has to lift, everybody has to hit the weight room.
Yeah.
But like it's more important for my position to be big than like a receiver versus like a quarterback. A quarterback probably has to be big as well, just because they get tackled, they run a lot.
Yeah.
But like a defensive back doesn't have to be as big. Also, so it depends on your position.
Yeah.
But I think anybody can play football.
Okay.
Honestly.
That was good.
Yeah.
Thank you for the description and everything. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's talk a bit more about you and career-wise, because right now you're a senior.
Yeah.
Graduating very soon. What are your plans in terms of career?
So I don't know when I'm gonna start. Probably in the later summer or early fall, but I'll start as associate consultant at Boston Consulting Group.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. How did you get that? That must be a journey.
Honestly, it's I kind of fell into it. I came into Williams. I was pre-med. You know, that Nigerian saying, you can be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. I picked doctor. It didn't really work out after chemistry. So I was actually doing a chemistry problem set.
Yeah.
Logged onto my Handshake because the problem set wasn't going well. I was like, I'm going to need to find a job because the doctor thing is not going to work. And I stumbled upon this application that was actually like due like the next day. And I was like, oh, like I should probably do this. It looked good. I had no idea what the company was. Like it's a top 3 consulting firm in the world. And
I've heard about it.
Yeah, I had zero clue. So I actually called one of my teammates at the time, Josh Wax, and I was like, hey, I need your help. I want to apply for this job, but I have no resume. So I remember he actually lived at 71 at the time on Hoxie. And I remember like going down there, and I went into his room, and he basically like walked me through how to make my resume. So eternally grateful for him.
Yeah.
And then I submitted it, and I like worked, like they got back to me and they said like, hey, you made it to this round. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was in season at the time, so like I had like zero time on my hands. And one of the worst parts, not worst, the most difficult parts of like consulting is the case interviews. And I had never cased before. So I cased with one of the guys on my team called Nikhil Ostrander. Phenomenal guy, really intelligent dude. And he like walked me through one of my first places in Morgan. And I remember doing it, I actually like fumbled very badly. It was really poor. But he was like very encouraging and told me to stay with it. And then I did another case with this woman who went here. She graduated a couple years ago, Priscilla, and she did a phenomenal job giving me tips and advice. And it worked. Wow. I got to the final round. It worked again. And then I've been there for the past 2 summers. And then I was thank the Lord I got the return offer and I'm going back after graduation.
That must be amazing. I mean, the hard work paid off, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure you had to lock in for the cases.
Yeah, I mean, like, there was definitely, I honestly remember after my final round, like, doing it, and I was like, I don't think I got this. I was like, it was Mountain Day my sophomore year, like, it was like at like 8 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, wow, I definitely don't think I got this. But then I got a call Monday at like 9 a.m., so I was still asleep. And then they called me like, hey, like, you got the offer. And I was like, wow. I was like,
you couldn't believe it.
I could not believe it myself. Like, I was like, I was stunned because so I don't think I realized at the time how big of a deal it was, or how, like, because I didn't really know what the company really was at the time, because I was so dedicated at, like, working as, like, a doctor at the time. But, like, the more I started talking to people were like, oh, you don't realize how big of a deal this is, and how this company can, like, really change your life and, like, change trajectory. So I'm eternally grateful.
That's great. Okay. Before we move from that topic, I want you to, like, give some advice to people who want to get into such roles. What should they do?
I would say, have really good grades. Really focus, like, because I find now more than ever, like, people are so concerned about career-wise when they come into school. And I'm like, look, like, I would first focus on your actual schoolwork itself. Like, make sure your grades are good. Try to join different clubs. Like, try to get involved in what you're interested in. Don't try to, like, do things you're not interested in, because it's only going to make it harder for you. And especially at a school like Williams, do things you're interested in, right? But also, don't be afraid to, like, get outside your comfort zone and try to be a leader within your community, right? I think that's one of the biggest things I emphasize is, like, always try to have an impact wherever you are. And I think that's one of the big things consulting firms look for is, like, where can I see your impact and what you've done? You just didn't do something, you impacted it, or you changed the trajectory of it. So good grades, join different clubs, organizations, and community, and try to have an impact. And I think you're putting yourself in a good position. And also, I feel like this is a thing everyone will tell you, network. Network will never hurt you, it'll only help you. And getting different insider information and tips and tricks from people at individual firms will help you cultivate your resume for each firm you're applying to. But I'm more than happy to help anyone who has questions.
Thank you very much for that advice. Really appreciate it. Okay, so before we move on from that, did you study abroad in your junior year?
Yes, I did. My second semester, I actually studied in London.
Okay, great. I'd love to hear about that. How was it?
It was cool. It was actually, I think, one of the best times of my life being there. I actually have a lot of family that lives in London too that I had not seen in a very, very long time with COVID and everything. So that was one of the main reasons I went. I wanted to see people, like my family, my aunts, uncles, and my cousins. So that was great to be able to see them. But also to be in, like, I feel like London's one of those cities. It's like New York where everybody knows about it, right? And it's like such a bustling environment and city that I honestly met some great people. Met some great Nigerian people, a lot of Nigerians and Africans out there. Had the opportunity to go to school. Probably should have done more school while I was out there, honestly. But I think just being in a different country, different place, kind of forced me to step outside my comfort zone in some ways I didn't expect. From traveling to cooking all my meals to just having to navigate something new again for the first time. That was, like, in a way, refreshing. And I think when you talk to people about studying abroad, a lot of the time they'll talk to you about going out and, like, clubbing and, like, going to different countries. But I think what I really appreciated about studying abroad was, like, the opportunity to slow down. I think Williams is a very, like, go, fast-paced environment, but it gave me a time to, like, kind of slow down, focus on me, like, my friendships, and, like, talk to the people I was there. I got so much closer with some of my best friends who I was like, oh, I don't think it's possible for me to get closer with them. I got closer with them. And it was a great opportunity and something I think I'll cherish forever.